Everybody's in different situations and different circumstances in their lives. But there are certain things, whether it's a mindset, whether it's a habit that people develop, but there are certain things that separate those who succeed financially from those who seem to struggle. Well, welcome back to Hey Pops Financial. Glad to have you here today. We want to talk about something very important today. Why some people succeed financially and other people seem to struggle all the time financially. What's the difference between those two people? That's what we'd like to discuss initially. Now, before we get into that, let me just say one thing. I don't want to be judgmental about people. Everybody's in different situations and different circumstances in their lives. But there are certain things, whether it's a mindset, whether it's a habit that people develop, but there are certain things that separate those who succeed financially from those who seem to struggle. And I'd like to go through those and talk about those in this video, and hopefully you'll get some information that will resonate with you. And if you do, obviously let us know. Like what you see and hear today, subscribe to our site, and by all means, give us some feedback about what seems to resonate with you, and because we'd love to discuss some of those things in more detail. Okay, one of the first things that I'd like to talk about is rich people know how to use their money. Now, what does that mean? Well, we want to make money work for us. We don't want to be working all the time and living, in poverty basically all of our lives. We want to be in a situation where our money is going to work for us, not us for it. And by that I mean, if you need to situate things in your life so that you're not always at the mercy of a day-to-day paycheck. You're not at the mercy of an employer that can fire you at will. You're not at the mercy of someone else. You basically control things yourself. And so arranging your finances so that they work for you is very beneficial. One of the ways to do that is make money while you are not working. Now that seems counterintuitive to some. How do I do that? Well, if you have passive income, money is being made when you're doing nothing. Now, how do you get passive income? Well, one way is to invest in something that spins income off. Let's say you buy a rental house, and that rental house is paying you money 31 days a month because the rent is being paid on that house. And so you're making money every day, day in, day out. Another way to do it is to have something that returns interest to you. Interest is paid to you 24/7. While you're sleeping, you're making money if you have an interest-bearing investment. On the other hand, if you're paying interest, you're also paying money out 24/7. So that's a big difference in how you use your money, whether you're working for your money or your money's working for you. Another item I want to mention is how we use debt. To some, debt is a bad word. To some, debt is a way to make money. Now, let me explain that a little bit. If you're living in such a way that debt is a constant item in your life, in other words, you're paying on debt all the time, you're never going to get ahead. And I'm talking about consumer debt here. I know people, for instance, that constantly, every time they get a paycheck, they have already got an advance on that paycheck. You pay interest on that, and it's not a little bit of interest, but if you need your money, a week or 5 days even before you get your paycheck, you're going to pay for that luxury. Much like you're going to pay for credit card debt. If you buy things on credit, things that you could probably do without, but you want it now, so you go out and buy it on credit, you're paying a significant sum on that credit. It's going to come back to bite you. On the other hand, if you have debt for a house, for instance, or debt for a car, or debt for education, some of those kinds of debts are necessary, and that's perfectly okay in my mind to go into debt for those things. But be careful that you analyze what you're going into debt for. Is this something that I really need today? Obviously, you need a place to live and a car to drive today. Or is it something I could put off until I have the money? Like you want a bigger TV, you want a nice vacation, you want to go out to a fancy restaurant. You don't really have the money to do it, but I could pay off that off next month. Well, yeah, you can, but generally you're going to pay a premium for that because you've got interest that you're going to have to pay on it. So you want to keep debt to a minimum to these essential things like a house, a car, education, and stay away from debt that is related to consumer items, things that you really could do without, or you really could put it off until you have saved some money. Let's talk about a mindset issue here now. And this is what wealthy people across the board will tell you. Wealthy people never stop learning. If you get into a job at 20, 25 years old or into a career, and basically at 45 or 50, you're still doing exactly the same thing, you've never progressed, you've never grown, you've never actually taken the time to learn how to be better and how to progress in your career, then you'll never get wealthy. Wealthy people are always looking for opportunities to learn new things, to learn what the latest trends are, to learn what they can do to progress their career, whether they're working for someone else or working for themselves. Constant learning mentality is crucial if you really want to get ahead. Another mindset item, and I see this today more than certainly when I was younger, and that's that people tend not to take responsibility for things. When they don't succeed, it's someone else's fault. When they don't do good at work, it's the boss's fault. Oh, it's the, my dog ate the homework, excuse, whatever. People are very good at making excuses. Wealthy people take responsibility for their decisions, take responsibility for their actions, take responsibility for their success. And so that's a mindset issue that you really need to develop and you need to cultivate within yourself, is that whatever I do and whatever I succeed or fail at is my responsibility. It's not someone else's. Don't blame it on someone else. Take responsibility. That's a key element. Let's talk about another item that wealthy people excel at. When you work for someone else, you have a paycheck every 2 weeks or every month, whatever the case may be, and you live on that paycheck. You tend to live paycheck to paycheck. You base your entire budget, hopefully you budget, on that one paycheck. Wealthy people have learned how to have multiple income streams. Now, whether that's a side gig that they do on the weekends or evenings and have a little income coming in from that, whether that's an investment that is paying 24/7, paying you interest or paying you some kind of income. The more income streams you have, the less likely you are to live paycheck to paycheck. And that's a key element with wealthy people, is they have learned how to multiply their efforts by having multiple streams of income. The other thing that does is it's a hedge against difficult times. If one of those income streams dries up, you've got others to rely on. It's the same principle in investing if you're going to diversify your investments. One of them may not succeed, but 3 or 4 others will, and will make up for that one that doesn't succeed. And so diversifying your income streams protects you against hard times. Another thing that goes along with that, I think, is that wealthy people have learned how to maximize their time. And what do I mean by that? Everybody has 24 hours in a day, but it seems like wealthy people get far more done in that 24 hours than poor people do. And why is that? Well, part of that is because they have learned how to make the most effective use of their time. Are they spending hours a day on watching TV, playing video games, entertaining themselves with social media or YouTube videos or whatever? Or are they spending that time learning, developing their skills, developing these income streams that I've mentioned? If you make good use of your time, you'll find that you can get 2 or 3 times as much done in a 24-hour period as someone who is always poor because they misuse their time so much. In today's world, we have so many things vying for our attention and for our time. I love sports, but luckily I don't have live TV or even streaming access so that I can watch a lot of sports on television. If I let myself and had those things available, I could easily spend half the day every day watching sporting events and of course getting nothing done. Another aspect of wealth building is looking for opportunities to work for yourself. I realized years ago, I was in the Army when I was young and actually got my physical therapy degree in the Army. And even though I worked in the Army for Uncle Sam as a physical therapist for several years, I was always looking forward to the time when I could have my own physical therapy practice and work for myself. Working for myself means that whatever success I have or whatever failure I have is my responsibility. And if I can succeed and I can work hard and I can do well, and actually make more money, I don't want to be lining someone else's pockets with that money. I want it to be lining my own. Not everyone is cut out to be an entrepreneur. I understand that. And thank goodness that's the case, because entrepreneurs need to hire people that don't want to be entrepreneurs necessarily, but want to work for someone else. Hopefully they want to work for someone and do it really well, because you can make good money that way. But working for yourself allows you to take full advantage of your talents and your hard work. And so wealthy people many times have learned how to work for themselves. And even if they have a corporate job or work for someone else, they have side gigs or they have other income sources where they have control over that income. And to a degree, they have made themselves into a position, even in their corporate job, where they have control over their income, whether it's a commission job, whether it's an opportunity to progress in their career and get into a higher paying position. They take control of that. And so having control over who you work for and how you work is a critical aspect of gaining wealth. One last thing I'd like to mention about the difference between wealthy people and poor people is that wealthy people have learned how to set goals and work toward them. Now, setting New Year's resolutions and then, breaking them by February 1st is a whole different thing. I'm talking about really setting down and deciding what you want to do and then really working hard toward it. Do you want to progress in your career, whatever career you've chosen? And what can I do, if so, to make that progression happen? It may be classes to take, it may be experiences, it may be a certification. There are all sorts of things that you can do to meet those goals that you have set. If you want to, like I had a goal even when I was in the Army, working as a physical therapist for Uncle Sam, I wanted to own my own physical therapy practice. And so I needed to plan that well in advance of it happening, because if it's not planned and the steps made towards achieving that goal, it's never going to happen. And you can have a wish that something good is going to happen, but if you never set the goals and delineate what needs to happen towards attaining those goals, that wish is going to stay a wish and never be realized. So setting a goal is crucial, and then working towards it is absolutely necessary. Let me give you one example of setting a goal, and this has nothing to do with finances, but in 1980, I was in school at my undergraduate program, and one of the things I liked to do was folk dance. I worked my way up to in the folk dance group there at the university into a touring group, and we toured Europe for 6 weeks that summer of 1980. One of the couples that came with us left our group a few days before we finished and came back to the States because they wanted to go to a place in Germany called Oberammergau. Oberammergau is a little town in the Bavarian Alps that puts on a passion play, End of the Life of Christ, a passion play every 10 years. They've been doing it for 600 years, but it only happens every 10 years. I thought that was such a neat thing that I vowed in 1980 that I was going to go to the Passion Play someday. It was only every 10 years, so I had time to plan for that. Well, 1990 came, 2000 came, 2010 came, and I got married, had lots of kids, got into my career, all of these things happen, life happens. But I kept that goal, and finally, as 2020 was coming up, we were in a position to finally go to this Passion Play. And so we made arrangements, got the tickets, only to have COVID interrupt. And the play was postponed for 2 years. But in 2022, 42 years after I had set that goal, we finally made it to the Passion Play in Oberammergau, Germany. Fabulous experience. I would recommend it to anyone. But that's the kind of goals you have to make, and you need to set sub-goals along the way of what am I going to achieve to allow me to reach that goal eventually. And it may take 42 years to achieve your goal. It may take longer. In fact, some goals are never achieved, but the action of trying to achieve them is going to get you further than you ever could have gotten without it. They say if you aim for the fence, you'll hit the fence. If you aim for the stars, at least you might get over the fence. And that's the way goals are. You need to have them, and you need to be working on them consistently so that you can achieve your goals, in this case, a financial goal that you want to have, to become independent and financially set. Thank you for joining us today for Hey Pops Financial. I hope these things have been items that you can give some thought to and will help you in your plans to become financially independent. Join us again, like us certainly, and subscribe to our channel. We love to have you aboard, and we love to have your feedback so that we can answer some of those questions in future videos. Thank you very much.